After the nerfs to the jungle in patch 9.2, where they nerfed the XP, how much you get per camp, I feel like champions with fast clear are stronger now, since they don't tend to fall behind in XP compared to other champions. So basically that's why I think Karthus is strong, because not only he farms really fast, but also he can impact the whole map after level 6. I do think though that early game with Karthus is pretty weak, because you can't really contest river, and most of the junglers would win 1v1 against you if if they get to you. But I think my team is good enough to actually survive the early game without me, or without me having a big impact like Mowgli did on Olaf, like Camille, like Lee Sin, that kind of champions. And then after the early game, I feel like my pig is just basically really strong. I have so much damage, and the R is just pressuring everywhere, and it's really difficult for our opponents to fight us. I think the nerf came a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, I do think that jungle impacts solo queue a lot, because laners don't think about ganks, and when they do get ganked, they blame it on their jungler, which doesn't really make sense, but that's what happens in solo queue. And then if you do get a lot of successful ganks in the early game, and you still farm your camps, then you will be basically ahead in XP. And right now I feel like if you don't get those ganks and you still farm your camps, you will be always behind compared to solo laners. And maybe that's what Riot thinks is healthy for the game. Personally, I don't mind. I always adapt whatever is the best, I will play it. And right now I feel like champions that farm jungle fast are good, like Olaf, Karthus, for example. But you can still play champions like Lee Sin, like Camille, like Kha'Zix, that don't farm as fast, but they do impact the game in the early game. So it's a trade-off. Whatever you prefer, whatever is better for your team. I think flex picks are really important, because, well, you just get the best matchup you can around mid, bot, or top lane. Some of the flex picks also include jungle picks, so if the pick is countered in, let's say, top and mid, you can maybe put the jungle and still play it, and not get countered, because you don't have to play laning phase in the jungle. And I think my team is skilled enough that they play every flex pick in the game, and if we would not, we would learn it, and that's, I think, what every team is striving for right now. Every team is trying to learn the flex picks, whatever is considered a flex pick, because it just gives you advantage in draft, where you pick something that's can go all 3 lanes, and then enemies, your opponent doesn't have anything to counter, because he doesn't know where the pick is actually going. So then he picks something else, he has to blind pick it, and then you can counter it. So that's why I think flex picks are really OP right now, and everyone is just focusing to get as many of them as possible. I think that Caps is a really great player, so it was not really difficult to adapt to play with him. Then he's good enough to win, no matter if the matchup is bad or worse. I feel like Perks did talk more to me, and me and Perks did work together a little, for sure better than I'm working with Caps right now. But we also did play with Perks for like 1 year, so I feel like during Worlds 2018 we actually played really well together. With Caps there is a lot of room to grow, especially when it comes to communication between mid and jungle. But I don't think our synergy is bad or anything. I think it can just only get better, and I also think he's a great player, so he doesn't need a lot of resources, and he usually tends to win those lanes. So I feel like he's just good, and I don't have to worry about him. I feel like right now the shot calling is kind of shared. I tend to talk the most in the early game, because I'm the jungler, so I have the most free time, and I just need to lead my lane so they don't get ganked. After early game, I think in team fights, Caps talks a lot, because he's kind of just yelling like whoever we should focus. I think that's what he maybe did in Fnatic. He's good at it. And then when it comes to where we should go, our rotations, then we all talk. There is no one guy that does everything. Basically, all of the teammates can chip in and decide what should we do in the game. I mean, I think we could get a little bit too cocky. I'm really happy that we won against Vitality, and I can't wait to play against Fnatic, because even though they were, they did not do so well at the beginning of the split, I feel like right now they are actually doing better. Especially their game against Excel showed that they can play well, and if they played well once, I think they can just keep playing better right now. I think we are aware that we could get cocky, and as long as we are aware of it, I don't think we would. I think we still practice well, and we try to focus on our opponents like any other week. Even though we are 7-0 right now or 8-0, then we always focus on our next opponent the same way as we would in week 1 or week 2, where we didn't know that we are actually that good at the game. So I feel like yeah, it's at the back of our heads, and we will try to not not focus on it too much, that we actually become cocky, and then maybe you lose like a couple of games and no one knows what happens. But I think for us the most important thing is to do well at playoffs right now, because it seems like we'll probably get to playoffs since our score is pretty good right now, and as long as we play well in playoffs, I'm confident that we can win the whole thing. I think that it rewards the number 1 and number 2 pretty well, because whoever wins the face-to-face, goes to the finals. I don't know if the guy who goes to the finals has advantage or the guy who plays the day before him, because the team that plays, to get to the final already in Rotterdam, they will basically be warmed up on stage already, so maybe they have like warm-up advantage because they played the day before that. But on the other hand, the team that plays them on Sunday, they will know everything, because usually you have to kind of show everything, unless we are really insane and you will 3-0 and you will not show all your strats, and then you get warm-up and then you still hide something in the pocket. But I feel like usually what will happen is that the team that plays on Sunday will have the advantage of knowing their opponent better. Except for that, I don't think much changed. I'm really happy that some teams, basically number 1 and number 2, have the chance of playing twice, because they do play face-to-face, and then one of them gets to the finals and the other one still has a chance to get to the finals. So I think the kind of double elimination is good. And then for the rest of the teams, I think not much really changed. It's difficult to burn out during Worlds because you are really eager to play and you're excited to be there. But I think it's really easy to burn out if you don't have a lot of breaks during the season. So for us, League of Legends pro players, the season starts in January and it ends around November or October during Worlds, right? Assuming that you are good enough at the game. Because for a team like Fnatic last year, they went to MSI, they won Spring Split, they won Summer Split, and they went to Worlds. So basically they didn't have any time to take a break from the game, and it could really impact how you play the game, because at some point you will just get tired and you'll want to take a break, but you can't because there's another tournament coming up. Taking breaks from the game and practicing smart is really important in League of Legends. All of us have had our rest during Christmas and New Year's. We still, have our movie nights. We still go out. We still, go out for dinners, go out to cinema, go out, go-karts, whatever, do something else than playing, because it's really important to, just not burn out, especially that early in the season. There has to be a balance between practicing and resting. I think playing 24/7 without breaks is not efficient, and it will basically lead to burnout, but also some of the games you play in solo queue may not be efficient because you maybe run it down, or maybe you are just not focused on the game but you are playing. So I think practicing the mechanics and like going over the pattern again is fine, and playing a lot is fine. I do play a lot as well, but I think you need to find time for yourself and to focus on something else so you can rest and you can keep your mind off the game from time to time. I think Caps is the type of a player that plays a lot, so for him it's not an issue. I've been playing with him for 2 months now almost, and he takes breaks as well. It's not like he's just playing 24/7. Like whenever he feels tired or whenever he feels like he's just not efficient anymore, he will take a break, and he will go to bed early, or he will read a book, or he will just walk around the room and troll everyone, but he will not practice inefficiently. We are pretty good. I think some teams are struggling. I think some other teams are good. I think right now, us and Schalke and probably Misfits and probably Vitality are like the decent teams, and all the rest of the teams are like a step behind us. But when I look at NA, LCS, or just LCS right now, I feel like they are much worse. I feel like even their best team, Team Liquid, is not playing that good. The best European teams, I feel like we have better players than they do. And when we match the macro, it feels like we are just stronger, right? And then when it comes to Asia, just, China or Korea, I think those regions are still really strong. And even though Korea didn't do that well last Worlds and Europe went to semifinals and then finals with Fnatic, I feel like those regions are still strong, and we have to be aware that, they are still there. Especially Griffin and IG are really insane at the game. And I'll be excited to play them. But there's still time, and there's still a lot of room for us to grow before we can actually face them. No, I really don't play Braum jungle. I really hope that this pick will never become meta again, and I really hated it, and I think that was partially why I sometimes played bad in summer split because I had a lot of funnel games, and instead of playing my thing, I was playing funnel thing. So I'm really happy that it's gone, and I can focus on myself, and I can be good again. And yeah, just no more, please.